Robert Redford and Sibylle Szaggars' love story feels like a scene from a movie, tender, authentic, and heartwarming. They first crossed paths back in 1996 at Redford's Sundance Mountain Resort in Utah. Sibylle, a German environmentalist and multimedia artist, was there on a ski trip with friends, and she didn't know much about the owner beyond the fact that he was an actor. Not a bad surprise to bump into on vacation, right?
Exactly.
At the time, Sibylle wasn't much of a film buff. During a National Young Arts Foundation talk, she admitted she was far more drawn to musicals, opera, and painting than to movies. I knew of him. I had seen Jeremiah Johnson, one of my favorite films, and Barefoot in the Park. But I have to also say, I'm not a film person, and I hadn't been a film person, she explained. So when Robert invited her and her friends to dinner, she had a mini panic. What if he wanted to talk about his movies? Her solution was pretty clever, and very 90s. She rented a stack of his films from the resort reception and skimmed 15 minutes of each, just enough to bluff through dinner talk if needed. But, as it turned out, Redford didn't bring up his work at all. That, in fact, became part of the magic. He later said one of the things that drew him to Sibylle was that she didn't come with any preconceived notions about his fame. It gave them, as he put it, a level playing field to simply connect as people.
So therefore, when it happened, I was kind of taken back.
Through the early 2000s, their bond only grew. Sibylle joined Robert at premieres, Sundance Film Festival events, even New York Fashion Week. She stood beside him when he was honored with an Oscar in 2002, and again when he received the Kennedy Center Honors in 2005. Still, they kept the heart of their romance private. No oversharing, no red carpet PDA overload. Even when Robert proposed in 2008, they stayed low-key about it. "We are engaged and very happy with that," Redford told German magazine Bunty at the time. "She is my fiancée, and that says everything, doesn't it? Short, sweet, and without any extra details." A year later, they married in Hamburg, Germany, in an intimate ceremony at St. Catherine Church. While Redford and Szaggars didn't have children together, she became a devoted stepmom to Redford's children from his previous marriage, Shauna, Amy, and James. What set Robert and Sibylle apart as a couple was how naturally their interests fit together. She brought an artistic eye and a passion for environmental work, while he'd always championed creativity and conservation. After all, Sundance itself was born from his desire to support independent filmmaking and protect nature.
I mean, part of it is your non-acting life, and that's about the climate and the environment.
Yes.
And you are really dedicated to that.
Very much
You've
so.
been to the...
Even after tying the knot, they largely stayed out of the spotlight, turning up for only a handful of public events, like the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation's awards ceremony in 2021. And when Redford passed at his home in the mountains outside Provo, Utah, on the morning of Tuesday, September 16th, his publicist shared that he was at his home at Sundance in the mountains of Utah, the place he loved, surrounded by those he loved. This year, we also lost another cinema legend, Alain Delon, though unlike Redford, his journey in love was far less serene, filled with ups and downs rather than lasting happiness. Probably the greatest love of Alain's life was Romy Schneider.
Et pour représenter l'amour, j'ai humblement choisi Romy Schneider.
On the set of their first movie together, Christine, sparks flew, and the actors fell deeply in love. Romy even left West Germany to be with Delon in Paris, and by 1959, they were engaged. For the next 5 years, they were the golden couple of French cinema.
C'est dommage.
Quoi?
Qu'on ait commencé la journée en se racontant des blagues. Parce que maintenant, même si on se plaisait vraiment, on n'oserait plus se l'avouer.
During their romance, Romy's career thrived. She worked with the legendary Orson Welles on The Trial in 1962, and with John Ford on the stage play 'Tis Pity She's a Whore in 1961. But in 1963, everything changed with a single letter. Delon ended their relationship, and just like that, the fairy tale was over. In a surprising twist, he quickly moved on, becoming engaged to French model Nathalie Delon, who was already expecting their child. They married, had a son, and in another turn of events, divorced a few years later. But we'll talk about their relationship in a bit. Romy married German director Harry Mayen in 1966, but they divorced in 1975. she continued to make waves in French cinema throughout the 70s. Tragically, Romy's life took a darker turn. Her son, whom she had with Mayenne, died in 1981 at the age of 14 after a tragic accident. Just a year later, Romy was found dead at 43 in her Paris apartment. Her life ended too soon by cardiac arrest after a recent kidney operation. It's so heartbreaking to think of how much she endured in her short life. Delon, devastated by her death, arranged for Romy's son to be buried in the same grave. He famously called Romy the love of my life after she passed away, sealing their love story as one of the most tragic and unforgettable in cinematic history.
Parce que cette année, tu aurais 70 ans et que tu me manques terriblement.
After Romy Schneider, who left an indelible mark on his heart, his romantic entanglements grew more complicated and controversial. It's as if her shadow loomed over all his future relationships. Let's explore one of the more turbulent chapters of Alain Delon's love life, beginning with Nico, the German-born singer and actress from the Velvet Underground. Nico claimed that Delon was the father of her son, Christian Aaron Boulogne, born in 1962. However, this is where things get messy. Delon always denied paternity. But let's be honest, if you look at their pictures side by side, the resemblance is pretty striking. Christian was initially raised by his mother. However, as Nico struggled with drug addiction, Delon's mother, Edith, and her second husband, Paul Boulogne, eventually adopted Christian, and he took their surname. Despite multiple attempts by Christian to gain legal recognition from Delon, including lawsuits in 2001 and 2019, he was unsuccessful. Christian, who later reunited with Nico as a teenager, pursued a career as an actor, appearing in several films, including The Inner Scar with Nico herself. Sadly, he struggled with drug addiction and passed away in 2023, aged 60. Here's how it all unfolded. In 1963, Delon met Francine Canova, a young divorcee and model who went by Nathalie Barthélemy. But Delon didn't make it simple. He was also involved with actress Marisa Mel, both before and after announcing his engagement to Nathalie. On August 13, 1964, Delon and Nathalie Barthélemy got married, mostly because Nathalie was expecting their child. After the wedding, Nathalie took Delon's last name and became Nathalie Delon. Their son, Anthony Delon, was born just a month later, on September 30, 1964. But even this didn't put an end to Alain's affair with Marisa Mel, which continued up until 1965. And let's not forget the pop diva Dalida, an international sensation in the 60s and 70s. Rumor has it that Dalida and Delon had a brief fling when she first arrived in Paris in 1956, and they secretly rekindled their passion a decade later in Rome, despite Delon being married at the time. They even recorded a single together, Paroles, Paroles, in 1972, where Delon plays the role of a charming wooer. Delon later expressed deep regret when Dalida tragically took her own life in 1987. And if that wasn't complicated enough, Nathalie later admitted that Delon's love for Romy Schneider was a constant shadow over their relationship, despite their marriage. Delon's deep sadness over Romy's absence was apparent, and it seemed his heart never fully left her. Nathalie and Alain's marriage was tumultuous from the start, and in 1969, after Delon had an affair with one of his co-stars, Mireille Darc, the couple divorced. Speaking of Mireille Darc, Delon's relationship with her was his longest by far, lasting an astonishing 15 years. It's hard to believe they were together for that long. Even after their romantic relationship ended, they stayed close friends right up until Mireille's passing in 2017. Now, if you thought Delon would slow down after his divorce from Nathalie, think again.
You might be surprised.
He dove straight into brief but intense relationships with actresses like Anne Parillaud, Lana Wood, and Catherine Blaney. Finally, there was Rosalie van Bremen, a Dutch model Delon met in 1987 on the set of a music video for his song Como Cinema. Despite their 31-year age difference, love blossomed between the two, and they had 2 children together, Anouchka Delon in 1990 and Alain Fabien Delon in 1994. But like many of Delon's relationships, this one didn't last, and they parted ways in 2001. Despite the many women in Alain Delon's life, he never seemed to find his one and only, or did he lose her along the way? Who do you think was his true love? And what do you think prevented him from committing to just one woman? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's discuss.